to the story. It's story time with Skye. You can fall in love and laugh until you cry. It's story time with Skye. It's story time with Skye.
Welcome to Storytime with Skye. I'm your host, New York Times bestselling author Skye Warren. Every week, I tell a brand new story based on the heroes, heroines, and meet cutes that you want to hear about. I bring on some of my favorite romance authors as guests to help me craft a hilarious, steamy, and ultimately romantic story with a guaranteed happily ever after. So pour a glass of something fun. Welcome to the story. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Storytime with Skye. I'm Skye, and I have an incredible guest with me today. We're going to come up with something really fun and probably a little kinky, but we'll see how it goes. So my guest is Lexi Blake, and I'm sure you've never heard of her. She has not written incredibly huge BDSM romances that you love. But if you haven't, let me tell you, she is the New York Times bestselling author, Lexi Blake, who lives in North Texas with her husband and 3 kiddos. Since starting her publishing journey in 2010, she's sold over 3 million copies of her books, which is a lot of millions. And she began writing at a young age, concentrating on plays and journalism. I did not know that about you. It wasn't until she started writing romance that she found her success. She likes to find humor in the strangest places and believes in happy endings. Hi, Lexi.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm great.
So both Lexi and I just got back from one of the best weekends ever. Yes, the latest and greatest final chapter of Book Bonanza. How was it?
The most amazing weekend, and I'm still a little loopy from it, so I think that will make this fun.
It will make it fun. And we're going to tell a story today, and it's going to be from scratch, and it's going to be a surprise to everyone, including the
Including
author.
us.
Is that how it is for you anyway, though? Are you a
Yes.
pantser or a plotter? You're a pantser.
I generally like to know 3 things. I like to know where I'm beginning, I like to know where the dark moment's gonna be, and then I like to know how I'm going to get out of it.
Yeah.
But those last 2 often change somewhere in the middle.
Right. Best of intentions. And then,
Mhm.
so, okay, we do have 3 elements for our story, but they are not those 3 elements.
Okay.
So we actually get the hero, the heroine, and like a meet cute setup type.
Okay.
And then we can do whatever we want within that. So I'm going to tell you one, and you can tell me real quick if you've written one or not. So the heroine is a florist.
Okay.
Have you written a
I
florist?
have not written a florist, no.
We just watched a florist
You did.
with It Ends With Us. I'm sure she'll be a different florist. But then the hero is her childhood best friend.
Okay. I've written many childhood best friend books.
Nice. Sometimes we give the hero like a job or
Mhm.
something like that, but this time it's open. He's just her childhood best friend.
Okay.
And then the way that they meet, it had to be for you. Because so some of these are like listener suggestions, and some of these are like I pick it for the author because I want to do it with them. And so this one I picked, they meet at a BDSM.
Okay.
Perfect.
Are they surprised? Because I feel like we need them to be surprised.
I would love for them to be
To
surprised.
me, they did not know that this was going on in either one of their lives.
I love that. I love that. And they can be shocked. They can both be shocked for different reasons, even. So, why is she shocked? What is she doing here? Is she delivering flowers for the BDSM event? I
She
mean,
could be.
it's a possibility, but I feel like they would have warned her, right? But
Like,
somehow,
she could be delivering flowers to her friend's collaring ceremony.
right. And maybe, but does she know? But then it wouldn't be a
Well, okay, here's the question. Do we want her to be a BDSM virgin? Like she is not, she is new to the lifestyle and he is not.
I
Does he
like
own the club?
I do enjoy the woman being a BDSM virgin, and I think I like the idea of her bringing the flowers. And the question is only how much does she know before she gets there?
Well, yeah, yes, because what I mean, her friend is like, okay, it's gonna be a little weird, but I think this is it's gonna be a little weird, but I think you could actually make. I mean, this is huge club. This could be a great client for you.
Okay, so she can even be kind of like a newer florist. So she maybe maybe I don't know if this is true or not, but maybe a really experienced event florist has probably seen some stuff. You know what I mean? They've dealt with like a bridezilla or two, or and so maybe they'd be a little bit more pro about this. But she's like, she just loves the flowers. She's here to do this, maybe, and she's not as prepared with like the venues and the guests and the things like that. So she is okay. She's like, but it's my friend. Of course, it's her friend. She's got to do it too, as well.
How long has it been since she saw the hero? Do we think?
I mean, if we're going for a surprise element, I feel like it's been a minute. You know what I
Like
mean?
maybe they were a high school boyfriend and or like they were really close in high school, then they went to college.
I mean, we could do where it's like a friends to lovers, and he hasn't told her he's a dom because he doesn't think that
Now
she would.
that is yes, now that would be interesting.
Do you write friends to lovers?
Yeah.
You do. I feel like I don't because I kind of struggle with like the conflict of it, and I feel
It's
like
hard. I can tell you why I write friends to lovers
okay,
because
tell me.
I met my husband when I was 12 years old.
Okay, okay,
So, I mean, like it is very familiar to me.
right,
It's kind of odd for me sometimes to think about like Rich and I have been through everything together. Like there's so little a part of my life that didn't include him. So
right.
it can be hard. You have to explain why they didn't get together back then. Like why we didn't get together back then was because I was dumb. But
Well, you
that
were
doesn't
also a little girl. When did you actually get together?
we didn't get together until I was 20. We were both, because we were the same age. We didn't get together until we were in college, about 2 years. We were almost 21.
Okay, so yeah, there was like there was a reason in that case, and so my husband and I have also been together a long, long time, and so I do think it's funny sometimes. I was 17 when we started dating. We met when I was 14, though we weren't close at all, so that's partly why we didn't start dating. And so it is kind of funny, like you like the whole idea of meeting someone as like a 30 or 40-year-old woman and being like,
Yeah,
let's dive in. Like,
I know. I like, and I write that. Obviously, I write that more often than I
right,
write
right,
friends to lovers. And in some ways, it's easier because you can those conflicts are can be immediate and right there. And this long, slow burn, I feel like I've gotten into with some of the kids characters from my main series. Whew, I'm ready to get back to they just meet and don't know each other.
yeah, I think next gen can be really tricky like that, next gen
Mhm.
in particular, because also their parents weren't that bad, which I feel
Yes. You never realize as an author how
oh,
much
yes.
you lean on terrible parenting as a backstory. And all
Listen,
of a sudden you can't do that because
no,
we write happily ever afters, not happily until the author needs a bad backstory.
I
So
know, I know. Okay, so let's try friends to lovers because I think it'd be
yeah,
interesting and you can do it. You know how to do it. So if I
I
get
do.
stuck, then we'll see how it goes. But okay, so they were not only childhood best friends, but they've been best friends all the way through nonstop.
Okay.
And he has been super dom. He loves it completely in the lifestyle. Dom, 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 dom. And she doesn't know. I like that she doesn't know because it's part of, I think, why they can't be together. He hasn't told her for some reason. I think there has to
Is
be
he
something about,
afraid? Do you think that he's scared that she can't handle that part of what he needs?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, he
So,
thinks she is a white picket fence and does without understanding that a lot goes on behind that white picket fence. Like he's got
right. So it could be that he's a couple years older. So then maybe he does start developing sooner, does start having experiences sooner, figures out what he wants sooner. And that could hurt her feelings. So that could be like something that just made it so that, oh, this is why we didn't just like jump together right away. I do think there needs to be some sort of like formative, like intense reason why he's like, I know for sure this is not for her. Like she could see something and be shocked and say it, and he just takes that to mean something. I want it to be a little bigger than that just because I don't want
oh,
to.
I mean, look, hey, we just talked about leaning on bad parents. Her father was used to get a little physical with her mom, and it was terrifying to her. And he worries that she won't see the difference.
Absolutely. Or maybe even,
Or she's even said how,
yeah,
how,
or he struggles with the difference.
okay.
You know what I mean? Like he is doing this because he needs it, but maybe doesn't even feel all the way great about it because part of him has always loved her and would like to just be able to cherish her.
And he is not reconciling the fact that what she maybe said at 16 or 17 or even 20 years old, what she said about, I could never do that. I need tenderness. I need softness.
Right, right, right.
He doesn't, that can change in a couple of years because your perspective change, your needs change. You get to the point where you can say, a little rough sex is not the same thing. It's not abuse. It's as long as it's consensual, it's fine.
Right. Did you ever read, this is like such an old rec, but I feel like you might have. Laura Kinsell, The Shadow and the Star.
No, I don't remember that one. I've read Laura Kinsell, but I don't remember that title.
So in that one, the hero was actually abused as a child. He was rescued. And so he has a really dark view of sex in general, not just like rough sex, just sex in general. And he decides who he's going to marry. He actually wants to marry essentially kind of like his foster sister. I mean, he's fully grown right now. Like he's fully
Mhm.
grown, super hot, but like not having sex. And he wants to sort of marry his foster sister because he wants to save her from what he sees as like the ugliness of sex. He's like,
Okay.
we're gonna have a chaste relationship. And then separately, there's this girl he like cannot help but like fall into sex with, basically.
Mhm.
They're just like tumble, 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 tumble. And he doesn't know what to think about that at all. And it's actually an adorable, adorable romance. I love it so much. And he doesn't even realize that you can almost like love someone with sex because he's had a really rough childhood. But I thought I love that book and I was always struck by that. Just that he wanted to save women from sex. And he also like almost reached this point with the actual heroine, who is the other girl, not the sister, who he is like, I can't help it. And he's like, he feels guilty. He's like, I know you must hate this, but if you're gonna let me, we're gonna do it. So obviously that was also like a more repressed time period. There wasn't like a book or a movie available to like
Yeah.
explain some things. Our hero is more aware of the fact that so it could be the heroine's father, but it even could be the hero's. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe that is what he grew up with. And there's a little part of him that still worries that that part will come out, especially if we want to do the big bad Dom who doesn't love his subs and has the contract and like he keeps it
Mm.
cold because he's worried if he ever runs hot, he'll turn into his dad.
Right. Right. He's like, the only way I'm able to sort of keep control in a situation like that is the fact that it doesn't really mean much to me.
But
It's
he knows if he ever touches her.
it would be different. He doesn't know
Yeah.
how because they haven't done it, but he knows it would be different. Maybe at this point, maybe she's even realized, hey, I like him. We're super close. He's clearly sexing around. Maybe it could be us. Maybe she sort of like floated the idea and he's turned her down. And so, okay,
Well,
she
do we
shows up.
have it feels like we're going into almost a little bit of a grumpy sunshine too, whereas
Yeah,
he's grumpy. She's like, "Oh my gosh, now I understand a little more. I can do this. Hello." Like,
right. Definitely like good girl, tortured, dark, bad boy type.
okay, I like that.
Okay, so maybe she's not even, we could even do it where she's not like as shocked about the BDSM club. She knows it's a BDSM club. Okay, she's never been. I mean, if you've never been, it's a little
No,
shock.
your eyes will widen when you walk in, no matter what books you've read
Right.
or
I even wonder if like maybe she even was like taken to the venue, like to just sort of like, because that'll happen sometimes with a
Mhm.
florist.
Oh
And
yeah.
but to see it like empty, she's like, oh, I'm gonna do this here, I'm gonna do this here. But when you're there and you see things that
Yes.
you have never seen in regular society. Not even, I mean, definitely like naked bodies, that's definitely part of it, but not even only that, just like dynamics, like a woman casually walking around and a guy's on a leash or something, and you're just kind of like, do I stare? Do I not stare? What's the
Right.
right thing to do? So yeah, that was a from experience moment because yeah, not that late, like it's still pretty early in my writer career. I did a signing at a BDSM, what was it, convention. And I was just like, I have not seen a lot of things here
Yes.
before.
It can be a little surprising when you think that you are, because I have done a BDSM convention too. When you think that you're like like almost like I'm the baddest bitch in the room. I've written all this stuff. Oh, whoa, whoa,
Exactly, exactly. You're like, that
whoa.
doesn't freak me out. And then like you see it and you're like, wait, I've only seen it on the paper with the
Yeah.
words, and that's not the same thing.
Mhm.
And okay. So yeah, she goes there, is like, okay, this is shocking, but gotta do the florist thing. I guess when does she actually see him? When does she actually see him? Is she setting up flowers? He's supposed to help her carry them in. Shock, appalled.
No, I almost want her to have stayed because
Okay.
she's curious and to
Oh.
have him walk out on the stage. And he's like, her jaw just drops. Like she sees him from afar and is like, "Oh my, that man. Oh, now I'm beginning to understand this whole thing." He walks out, he is just dripping with authority. And she's like, "Okay, I could do that." And then she looks at his face and he starts to talk. And she just goes, "I don't know what his name is. And it's probably not going to be this, but Tom?" Like
Can't do Tom. It was my
we're not
grandfather.
doing Tom. We're not
No,
doing Tom.
it can't be.
We gotta have a better name, but like kind of stands there completely and utterly shocked.
Why is he on the stage though? Because my first
I
thought
think
was,
he would be introducing, he's gonna do the collaring ceremony.
he's gonna actually like sort of
Oh,
officiate. Uh,
exactly. And I think we almost view it like this is like he can even say we would have to call it like I don't what's the name of our club?
what's the name of our club? That's
Where are we in the country too?
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I gotta get deep. I gotta get deep. Well, I mean, like if
You and I are both in
we're
Texas.
both in Texas, so we could
What
call
if
it.
we were in Austin?
I
Do you like
I
Austin?
I love Austin. I
Yeah.
mean, we might call it like, you can always use like the ones like my personal club is Sanctum, or you've got those that feel like, hidden places. But you can also call them things like the rodeo. It's not my first.
Mhm.
Like clever, that some of them have very clever, kitschy, funny names. It just depends on what you want, how you want it to feel. The
Okay.
mission, the
Is there anything about Austin? This is not about Austin, what I was to say. I just like, what about like Velvet Chains? Has that
that
been?
sounds good. I like it.
It's not about Austin, but my brain couldn't go there. My brain was like, things about Austin are like Tex-Mex.
Yeah, exactly, and
Like
weird,
that wasn't that helpful to me.
and barbecue, and
And there's like hiking. Just like,
there's a college, but we don't wanna call it the Longhorn 'cause
no, the Longhorn. Oh no. What's his name? Is it
Okay,
Bevo? What did I
Bevo, yeah, isn't that his name?
Bevo's Lair?
Bevo's Lair.
Okay, no, we're gonna give him a real one. It's Velvet Chains. Okay. So he's gonna like velvetly chain her. And so yeah, these other people. And he's gonna go up and officiate. And I guess, I mean, I don't actually know how people do this. Like, are they dressed up? Because I really want him to be hot. You know what I mean? In this moment. I don't want
Yeah,
him to
no,
be
I think they would be in like, absolutely, we're all in our best bet where and we're gonna I mean, what if they did it like a themed almost wedding where
Mhm.
we're gonna have a few scenes before we get to the actual collaring? And that's the point in time where he can when the scene starts, that's one of the reasons that she's still there, and she wants to check and make sure everything's okay. And he's
Yeah.
like, "So you're the florist? Oh, wow."
Right. So he goes up. I want him to be just like wearing leather pants
Mhm.
and just like shirtless and as ripped as humanly possible. Like he wanted to look his
Of
best, like
course.
his ceremony.
Like, this man does not eat carbs. He has never
No,
seen
no, never eaten a carb in his life. And he starts speaking. She like dies 12 times. He's like, okay, now scenes. And
So the question is, does he try to get her out? Like, does he try what does he
oh, I
do?
think he would. Yes, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
mean, she finds herself all of a sudden outside of the club.
what if they do this? What if they do this? What if they actually have the full ceremony? It can be as long as it needs to be, but it's a little bit short and sweet because from the reader's perspective, because she's just busy dying. Maybe he even spots her. You know what I mean? Just to add to the tension of the moment. But either way.
Uh-huh.
And then they say, okay, well, everyone go off and do your scenes, your scenes, and then we have some thing planned for the end. So there is still like a wrap up, but it's not the vow thing.
Okay.
Like maybe it's like, oh, a primal play thing through the forest or something like that
Mhm.
with a nice, hiking from
Yes.
that Austin has to offer. And so we should be on the tourist guide, really. I'm a tourist, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, he sees her, he's like, out, get out, get out, get out, get out. And he's telling himself he's doing it for her protection. But of course, he's doing it to protect himself because
Yeah.
he's now seeing him for who he really is. And she's like, I have a friend here, and I was the florist, and I'm allowed to be here. And, you know, maybe her friend even convinced her, like, get a little band, do whatever is necessary so you can play. And then her friend is like, I'm not gonna play, I'm just gonna watch. And she's like,
Mhm.
just do it so you have the option. And so she's like able to play. And of course now, okay, she's like a lost little lamb. All the other Doms are like circling, and
Yeah.
he's like,
And he's like, absolutely not, you are out.
yeah, yeah.
Tosses her ass out, but then she's got one way to get back in, and only one way that I see. And
Okay.
that is to tell him, if you it's okay. I understand you don't want me here. I've got another club I can go to. If he
Right.
thinks she's going to explore,
Right, 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 right. I was actually thinking he might not even succeed in kicking her out because he doesn't really have the authority. I mean, kind of if he had a real good reason, but she is like the florist and a friend of the couple. And so I think she'll be like, listen, you don't want to play with me? That's fine. That guy over there, I'm gonna go play with him. She can be like lying, like she doesn't want
mhm,
to play with some random dude. But she's just like, yeah, he asked me for my number. He asked me to play with him later, and I'm gonna do it. So like, don't worry, because they still have just a friendship. Like he currently has no right to be possessive,
yeah.
or even
And she
really
can even say that,
right.
like,
Yes, I want her to say it.
"We have tried this before and you said no, and I
Yeah,
accepted that. So what is the point with this behavior?"
yeah, almost like, oh, when he turned her down, he could have been like, I see you like a little sister.
Yeah,
And she could be like, rude. You don't want your little sister cramping your style? Well, don't worry. I am older now and I'm going to have a good time.
yeah.
And he obviously is going to lose his mind. But how far is it going to go? Like, is she going to even get to chat up another guy? Is he going to like not even allow that to happen? Is he going to be like, if you want to see something, I'll show you how it works?
Oh, I think well, what I would love, I don't know how fast we get into this. This is beginning to feel like one night, and at the end of the night, they're together, like a one night novella, you know? Almost like this is a short. If some guy, one of the doms is like, okay, we're gonna do some impact. We're gonna do a spanking scene. You've never been spanked before. You're interested. Let's go. Gets her or an impact play scene. Gets her on the cross. She's turned away from him, and he comes in and is like, no, yanks the guy and is like, you don't touch her.
Okay, so this other Dom already tapped her for that. He was already chatting her up when
Yeah.
this guy didn't see because he was busy like preparing for the
Mhm.
ceremony. And he's like, okay, like we're gonna, like strap you up. And of course, he loses his mind. He's like, no way are you doing it. Only protective, only protective. I just have to make sure it's like not too hard. Like she's totally new.
But
Uh,
then he gets into it because he can see her, he can read her body. Like,
right.
internally, he's like, "She's just another sub, she's just another sub, you know how to do this." And
Yeah.
so
He sees her getting into it. And that's when he's like, holy shit. Like, holy shit. Because I mean, it's like it's a service thing. It's like, oh, I do this because I need it, but also because the other person needs it. And
needs it,
now I can
absolutely,
see that she needs it.
absolutely, and she can even, like he can even he can have, like, ooh, if we want a Cyrano de Bergerac it, we can have his best friend Dom, like, do his voice because she can't see him, like, say, "Why do you think you need this?" As he uses the, flogger or whatever, and she tells him, "I'm stressed all day. This is
Yeah.
the first time I felt," she verbalizes to him
Yeah.
why she feels like, "I need to explore this. This feels right to me."
But you know how this is not a one night thing? Though I do think that's a peril of childhood, or like friends to lovers, because there's like less, but he's extra grumpy, right? Like he's not just a little grumpy, like, especially depending on how we play like that past that makes him feel like this is wrong or whatever. So maybe she actually cries out for, relief, really,
Mhm.
but like also her stress. You know what I mean? Like it's a good cry, but it's also still crying. And he, who has been spanking her or flagging her and knows all the rules, you would take her down carefully, you would give her aftercare, you would whatever, especially for someone new. He gets the emotions get too much for him, and he actually just like puts it down and walks out and
Mhm.
he
He
leaves.
leaves her to up
Yeah,
to
and he like in a way he knows she'll be taken care of, you know what I
yeah.
mean? He knows but he also like he breaks the rules, he does it wrong,
Mhm.
and it's like just a sign of how fucked up he is. Him, who probably has been like the ultimate rule follower, in fact, enforces the rules on everyone. It's just like obviously you play the right way with the rules because it doesn't mean anything to
Yes,
him.
and everybody in the club is like, "Whoa, what just happened?"
Yeah. Yeah, because also he could, like, have really intense scenes all the time, and he's, like, cool, super cool about it, and this was, like, a relatively light scene, and so for him to, like, lose his mind over it, they're like, obviously something just happened. So, okay, they comfort her and get her home, but obviously, I mean, no matter how much comfort she gets, she's still distraught because this is not some random guy, this is
Yeah.
her best friend. And maybe she starts to regret a little bit, like, "Oh, crap, like, maybe we did ruin the friendship," you know what I mean? Like, and so then what? Who makes the first move? I think it's her, because I think he's still too much in his feels.
What if she goes to his office, and basically says, "Let's forget that last night ever happened.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got this, like, reunion or something coming up that we were gonna go to together.
Yeah.
Maybe it's even like a destination thing.
Mhm.
They've always been each other's plus one." And, he's like, "I don't think it's a good idea, and you really want to throw this away. I'm never going to ask this of you again." My question is, does she know it was him at this point?
I think so, like, because I think I would love that emotional, like, pain of her knowing he's walking away, you know what I mean?
Okay.
That we, like, miss if she never knows. Like, what if the friend starts it, but he finishes it a little bit,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? What if Because the thing is, this guy, this random dom, doesn't actually know her, right? So you can be kinda generic with the
Yeah.
questions,
But then
and
all of a sudden, a very specific question
right,
comes
then
up.
he can step close and say, murmur something, maybe that's only for her ears, about something
Mhm.
that he knows actually bothers her, and
Okay,
she's
so
so
they both know that they have had this big experience, and she's basically telling him, like, does she go in with like bravado and say, I mean, it was nice, but and it really opened some doors for me, and I thank you for that.
right, I think she has to, right,
I
to
think
kind of
she
like
has to.
to save face for her and even for him. Like,
Mhm.
she doesn't think he's actually into her, like not like, in a way, how is she gonna justify that he left in her own head? She's gonna say, "He was probably disgusted by spanking what he feels like is his little sister."
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have a good time. That's not how guys who are having a good time
And
react.
it could be interesting if he takes her whole, "I'm never gonna ask you for anything again. I understand I got what I needed to out of the experience, and now it's done." Now in her head, that just means she's gonna go find another club and keep exploring, but she's
Yeah.
gonna give him his space. But in his head, he's like, "Oh, thank she now knows it's not for her. She now knows she's
I
going
kinda
to."
want her to tell him that. I want her to say,
Oh, but see, I think
"Listen."
it would be great for her to reveal it to him when he doesn't think it's happening. Like, they go to
Oh, she actually explores. Like, she
she
actually does.
does,
Yeah, she does.
and good for her,
Right.
because one of the things that really bothers me when I'm reading a romance is the heroine just giving up all of her hopes and dreams and everything because one man told her no.
Right, right, right. No. Well, I mean, she's not as
Unless
innocent.
it's a
I think
historical romance and that man is the king, and then
right.
she should probably do that, or
Yeah,
she gets
right. Well, I
pregnant.
think she's had sex before, so she kinda
Oh, yeah,
knows
yeah.
this was totally different. So, yeah, she goes to another club,
I
and
think
I
she's
want
had unsatisfying sex, and
right.
she realizes this might be the thing that is missing for me personally.
Right. Right, right, right. Okay. So she goes to another club, or maybe just, like, goes to that club maybe on a night, she's like, okay, listen, he didn't like it because we have this like friendship, almost like sibling relationship, at least in his mind. I'm going to respect the boundaries. I'm going to respect the fact that it was his club first. And, but see, the thing is, I kind of don't want to bring in another club just because I
Uh,
want like the same people to be around
okay.
a
Yes,
little
because
bit. Like,
one of them could call him. So
exactly. And I don't
what
want to
if
introduce
he
like a whole new,
knows he
yeah,
doesn't play on Fridays? I'm gonna
exactly.
go.
He's
I
got
love
his
that.
like rugby team on Fridays.
Well,
She has
yeah,
gone
or
and cheered him on plenty of times, but not every single
yeah.
time. And this time she's like, "Oh, I have a date something." And
Mhm.
and he's
I
like,
love that.
"Right." So she goes to the club. And obviously he gets a call from a
He
friend,
gets a call.
from the dom who's like, and I want the dom to like play with him, you know what I mean? Because I want him to be like, "Hey, there's something you might want to know." And of course the guy's been trying to play it off like, "I don't care. I don't care about anyone." And
You
he'll be
would
like,
not believe the sub who is here tonight.
right. He's like, whatever, they're all the same. Oh, they are all the same? Really? This one, and then reveals who it is. And obviously, like, I don't know, he probably just like then,
He
I don't
drops
know.
his rugby and
Yeah, exactly.
goes. He's like, "No." It's like, "And I'm off."
Right, right. And I think there, maybe I sort of like the idea of her being, of her like again, I don't want, I like what you're saying that she's not like, I'm gonna turn away from BDSM in general because he said no. But I also like her acknowledging that maybe part of why she was able to do that scary thing in front of people and so new and all this stuff is because he was there. Like
Yeah,
part of her knew that he would never let anything happen to her and that she trusts him and that also it's a really intimate thing and she can be intimate with him even if it wasn't like sex per se.
yeah.
And so now suddenly she's faced with strangers essentially. And it's like, ooh, you
That's a
know,
little harder. Yeah.
right. So maybe she kind of had some plans, like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, maybe some more, right? Because why not walk in a little deeper? And she's like, oh, maybe she's like pulling back.
Mhm.
It's not, again, it's not that she never would do it. Like if he
Oh,
were
yeah,
not into
no,
her,
but it's you look, we all can get into things that we think are going to be terrific and have to readjust our expectations.
right? She's like, I might need a little more time on this thing,
Mhm.
but he doesn't know that. He comes in all hot and bothered and like, how dare you? You need to get out of here. And she's gonna really push back and give him a hard time. Like, whoa, I am a grown woman. You were not here, so like it shouldn't bother you. And you've never, oh, what would be really nice is if he's a guy, like, I like that he's taken off guard. So he's going to be a little more honest. I mean, he was
Mhm.
taken off guard before too, but he's taken off guard again. And she's like, you never cared when I had sex before. And then he could actually let it spill. I cared every single fucking time.
Yeah.
Like I stayed up, maybe they actually like are, I don't know where they live, like almost like close to each other. But I stayed up every night and had to watch some bastard kiss you, and watch him go in and leave in like 30 fucking minutes as if that could have possibly been enough to satisfy you.
Yeah.
And just, you know,
Yeah. So he's got that little I like the idea of him watching to make sure she's okay.
yeah. What
And
is
maybe
that?
he's even run off a couple of them when he found out they didn't have good intentions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think he'd run off whoever he could.
Yeah.
Like, just maybe he's run off a lot of them. I don't know. I mean, because that's the thing. He's like, I'm not good enough for you. But also, what guy is like, right? Like, what guy is he gonna be like, I rubber stamp him for you? Yes, he's good enough. Like, no, no one is gonna be good enough.
But maybe the one who he knows is like the blandest man in the
I
world
know, the
can take
blandest man
care
in
of
the world.
her?
But that's still different than like theoretically he can approve that, but in real life, approving that I think would be
Yeah.
so. I think he gives away a little bit that he wants to have sex with her, and that leads them to. She's like, I was just curious. It felt good. I wanted to try more. He's like, okay, okay.
Did we maybe go into an aftercare room to have this argument like away from and then we
Yeah,
almost
because
we
they were
almost
public
fake
before.
bang a little bit? Like,
Oh, yeah.
what
Yeah,
have we
because they were
done?
public before, so I want them in private now. It goes to a private room, which I feel like almost maybe it should be like, she's not at the level where you can be taking her into private rooms, and he's like, "Fuck off." And they're like, "Okay, just he gets special dispensation for being, like, super dom. And they go into the room and they're arguing, and then it turns into, like,
yeah, hate sex. Does it turn into angry sex?
Yeah, I like a little bit of, we've reached this point where the tension's either going to be walk away or have sex. And he can't quite walk away.
Yeah.
We get to the point of, am I supposed to not have sex for the rest of my life? So you think that no one can harm me, blah, blah. Am I supposed to be in this little, or did you put me in this little glass case? I'm not a
Right.
doll. I'm
Right.
a, I'm a woman. I have my own needs. If you won't meet them, I will go find someone who will slam the door,
Right.
lay her
Or
out.
even if she doesn't even assume like, oh, you won't meet them as much as she's like, I just want to try things out. And he is like, none of them can satisfy you. And she's like, what does that even mean? No man can satisfy you. And he's like, no. And he doesn't like want to admit it, but it's like ultimately the answer is I can. And he
Mhm.
then proceeds to prove it. So they have this sex. Like how much kinkiness is in this sex? I mean, it's sort of a little bit kinky just on the basis of the anger part.
Where they are. I mean, we could even start with like, you want to get spanked? I'll spank you.
Yeah.
Like she's tossing crap his way, and he's
Yeah.
sitting there going, we are still in a club, and
Right.
I am still a dom, and you are still a sub.
And she's also probably dressed up,
Mhm.
maybe been like got a little makeover.
I like the idea of him saying, one more time. I've given you to say it one more time, and you're going to be over my knee, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
And then she does, and
Right.
then he realizes how like unbelievably aroused she is, and he can't stop himself.
Right. And I also think I want this one to be like just like a really like playful, sexy spanking versus like a cathartic,
Mhm.
moment. So they just, he just spanks her and then makes her come and then they have sex. And I think it can be like light kink. Like he could be like, I'm gonna tie your hands up, I'm gonna do whatever, or just like hold you down, or just like you follow the order of like stay here or something like that. So
Mhm.
it's just they're testing it, but he is able to see how much it impacts her.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the best sex he's ever had. And I think the room thing could be interesting too, just because he's probably had a million girls in this room.
Mhm.
And to really have that direct one-to-one comparison of it never meant anything like this.
Yeah. Like, how can he walk back into that room and not see her there?
Right.
So
And
the
it's
question now is, why does he still pull back? Because
okay.
obviously he needs to pull back.
So I think he needs to give her real aftercare because otherwise he's just kind of a douche at this point if he were to
Yeah.
not, you know what I mean? Like, so he does it for real and maybe like extra good to kind of make up for it and kind of like talks her through her feelings. And I think this can be a positive moment of like, especially because we just had some angry sex of like, we get to actually see what positive side their friendship has between them. Like they're able to really get in deep in a way she couldn't with a random
Uh-huh.
because and maybe he even she's able to guess or he opens up a little bit about why he is so secretive about this part of his life and it can come out a little bit. I don't know how much we want it to, but I feel like it come out a little bit. And so she's like, I understand, but he's still, I guess I think, I mean, I guess there's multiple ways we could play it. We could play it like, we're going to keep playing together because this seems to be working out for both of us. And this way I can make sure that you're safe and all that.
Are we keeping it to the club?
Keeping it to the club, keeping it to the club.
Mhm.
You know what I didn't get into is I actually but you had mentioned it and it made me think of it. I think they almost like did they start a business together or something? Like they because the thing is if you're best friends with someone and you barely see them, it's like how do you stay best friends with them? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like there's got to be some place that they're like already seeing each other all the time. So they say we'll keep it to the club, but they're already they are either run a business together, maybe, or what could he do that's in any way related to being a florist? Like, does he own a hotel and that they're the florists or something where they would run into each other? So then it's going to happen accidentally outside the club. I feel like again, that can just be a little bit more playful, but also raising the stakes. Like
Mhm.
he can get her in the well, it's a hotel, so what do we want? Like penthouse suite where she's just going to like put this giant thing and he's like there accidentally on purpose. Like he thinks it's an accident, but
Yeah.
of course, he knows her schedule and that she would be there, and he just had to see her. And then they do it, like, he ties her to the bed, that kind of thing.
Yes, in the penthouse, like crazy.
It could be also be the kind of hotel where, I mean, where it's okay, to be clear, a very fancy hotel, very upscale, but part of the minibar in the back in a black box is the adult minibar
Yeah.
item.
Well,
So
I mean, he's running these hotels, so
he's like,
maybe there is a little kink aspect to them.
right, just hospitality, you know what I
That's
mean?
right. Well, some of his friends from, because in BDSM world, all clubs are connected and they all like run whatever businesses we are working on. So, maybe he has friends coming in later on or people he's doing business with and he knows they're in the lifestyle. So,
Yeah.
he
So
has
I've
kitted
been
me
at
out.
random hotels that have had those things. I don't think they were
Okay.
I don't think they were kink hotels, but I could
Okay.
be wrong. I also could have just stumbled into a kink hotel by myself, like on business, like totally possible. But regardless, it's there. He's able to use it and they go deeper. But now that stakes are raised, more and more places are becoming ruined for him. He can't go back to the club. He can't,
Mhm.
it's in his own hotel. Okay, so what if it's that his dad was bad, and so maybe it was like her parents were like sort of surrogate parents a little bit, like, yeah, come over whenever, we'll feed you, we've got you. And
Mhm.
so he still does that. So for like 4th of July, whatever, they're like
Yeah, like
expecting,
boy next door, but he ran to her house for comfort. Like
right,
that was where his whole the idea of this beautiful family.
right. And so it's tense because what the heck?
Mm.
And
I mean, like her dad not knowing that I mean, he doesn't mean this in this way, but her dad like has a long talk about, I'm worried about her. I'm this, and I know that you will protect her. You have always been there and you have all and what he's really trying to say is what is going on like he's tiptoeing around this idea of get off your ass and marry my daughter. It's obvious you two are meant to be together. That's not how he's going to take it.
right. I was going to do a discovery thing. However, I like your thing. I think it could be like, I want her to just settle down with a nice guy.
Mhm.
And the dad's like, you would be great if it were you. And of course, this guy's like, I'm not a nice guy. So I've got to break things off. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because he doesn't just care about her, he cares about the parents and the whole family. He tries to break things off. She's like hurt, first of all, maybe. Like he knows the buttons to push. She's maybe not going to buy the little sister thing anymore. That ship has sailed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what if he does instead a kind of thing of like, listen, you know my reputation at the club. And oh, some girls might have even warned her. Listen, he goes through subs like
Oh
all the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You should just be like, don't pin your hopes on him. Start lining up another dom because we've had a lot of girls get their heart broken.
I mean, I'm gonna just say, I know that we're in this weird moment in romance writing where we almost either have to be like the darkest of the dark or the lightest of the light, and there's almost nothing in between.
Mhm.
But one of my favorite things is almost the well-meaning asshole scene. Do you know what I'm
Mm.
talking about? Like he is going to hurt her to save her.
Oh yes.
Like,
Oh yes. Yes, yes.
those scenes where we know, like, the heroine doesn't understand, but we know he is saying these things because he has to irretrievably break this situation.
Yes. And he
So
tries to do it soft, but she's not going to just take that. She's like, no,
no,
I feel the intimacy. I care about you. I feel that you care about me. Like we were best friends. Now we know that the sex works. Why wouldn't we give this a shot? She's
be
going to fight for them a little, which means that he's going to have to
that
be
he
really
has to go for the kill.
right. And I feel like the kill is what the kill is. You're too sweet. You're flowers and soft things, and but like in a bad way. Like he does think that, but he thinks it in a nice way. But he's gonna say it like, you are just too inexperienced for me. I like to play rougher. I like a more experienced girl. I like things that, are too far for you. He might even name them. Like, she'll be like, what? Like, what? I haven't tried everything. That doesn't mean I don't like it. And he could be like, how about this? She's like, oh, that does seem a little scary. And of course, he doesn't, that's not how you'd introduce a thing for real, right?
Yeah, of course. I
He's
mean,
just saying it.
now just to if we want to like push it, but in a way that she is it's a verifiable lie that she can come back and be like, now I know what he's doing. He could say, look, I played with someone last night, and I know that you can never give me what she gives me.
Oh my
I mean,
god.
no, it's heartbreaking, but here's the thing. Later on, like this breaks her heart. She walks away, but she knows the sub he's saying he played with, who then says, "What? He hasn't played with anyone."
You know
Yeah.
what I like too about this is this opportunity to do a thing where there's a beautiful sub who's maybe like perceived as his favorite.
Mhm.
Again, super casual, he's not actually into her, but she might be like perceived as again like the coolest girl, sub in the club. She likes him. They play together, and then she might even be the one who warns her away. Like, listen, honey, don't get your hopes up. Like, if he almost like the implication can be if he didn't fall for me, he's not going to fall for anyone. And it can set it up as if like it's going to be the woman villain, which is like so common. But
Mhm.
then we're going to flip it, and
Yes,
she's
because
going to be
I love this part. This is one of my favorite things to do. Go on.
yes, yes, and so maybe she's crying and she's just like, somehow,
You
like, ends up with
yeah,
this
like, you
girl.
told me everything. You told me, and I didn't believe it.
Right, right, and she's like, "And you can have if you're what he wants, then he should be with you, honestly." And, even though I'm heartbroken, like, that's and
Mhm.
she's like, no, honey, he was not here. He hasn't been here when you're not here, like, I don't think he would even come back if you never came back. Like, I think it's the club is dead to him if not for you, and also, he was never like with me and with any girl. And this is obviously something special. I think that she is going to first argue, no, 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 he said all these things. And
And
uh,
yes, and our, girl's girl can be
right,
like, "Yes," and he is scared of something.
right.
She's like, "I don't know him well, but I know what a scared man looks like." I
And she
mean,
can even sort of call him on it. Like these subs, they want to like flog us and we tell them our deepest, darkest fears and they give us cuddles after. But like, who's doing that to them? They've got deep,
yes,
dark fears too.
at the end of it, Adam is just a guy
Yeah,
who has those same feelings and who sometimes he's gonna have boundaries too,
yeah,
but it's not considered masculine to talk about them.
right. So I think so maybe he's in a dark spot. Maybe he even like almost like goes back to his childhood home, which he has like boarded up and never opened after his dad passed or something, or goes to a place that was meaningful to him and his dad, but in a negative way. And it's just kind of like, because the thing is, he's not planning for his own happily ever after. He's like, she will eventually settle down with a nice guy.
Mhm.
And maybe that guy will be with it enough to like hold her wrist down every once in a while, maybe not, whatever. But it's not going to be me, and I'm not going to be with anyone because I'm not fit for that. I don't even serve them. And maybe in a way, she was his last shot. If he was ever going to be disabuse himself of that notion, it was going to be with her. But the dad said the thing about protecting. He was like, no, I've got to let her go, which means that I am fully committed to a life of loneliness,
Yeah.
sorrow and pain. And so maybe he has something to drink. He like is just wallowing in his own sorrow. And then she comes over because she's thought about it and she's like, well, I know yeah, it seemed pretty believable, but I know he lied about saying that girl. Why would he? If anything, I'm his friend.
She's gonna white knight rescue him. He
Right.
like she now knows what he's playing at, and she's not gonna let him pull that card. She's not gonna let this stand.
So I think she's gonna go over. He's gonna be, I think he's gonna be belligerent. You know what I mean? Like, no, I already pushed you away. What are you doing here? I already told you I slept with someone. She's like, I talked to her, you're lying. And he's like, well, that doesn't mean everything else is a lie. Like you are too innocent for me, which some of it can be the truth. So it sounds like the truth. And but I have one more thing for the dark moment, actually. I don't know how she's gonna get him to I'm gonna leave the problem solving to you, which is hilarious because you were like, I like to figure out how to get out of the problem. That's hilarious because I do not. I get myself all the way in as deep as possible. And then I'm like, no idea how to get out of this. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do to you and me, but we'll see how it goes. So I want them to have he's at the lowest, he's at the rawest, and he can even tell her, this is why. Look at this bottle of Jim Beam. Look at who I am. I am my father's son. You heard the noises from next door. You know what I am. And she's like, that's not you. And he's like, you've always wanted to believe that, but it's never been true because I'm the one inside my head. And I know that I have like these impulses and urges and things like that, and how much of him is in me. And so they have like maybe like in a way like the roughest sex they would have had, even though he's maybe careful with her, they still have it rough, right?
Mhm.
And then he wakes up and sees her in the light of day. And what does she have on her wrists?
She's got bruises.
She's gonna
Yeah.
have bruises.
Which I mean, those are a badge of honor in BDSM.
Exactly. She would have admired them. She might have been
Yeah,
freaked out
yeah.
at first, but then someone would have told her, how do you actually feel about it?
Uh-huh.
And it'd been like, oh, actually, I kind of like them. It reminds me of something. And he's gonna like lose it. He's gonna lose it all the way. That's the dark. He's on
Okay.
he's in the worst possible place. But I think the one thing I think about this is that when she went to him, she still went to him as his lover, as his romantic partner. And I sort of feel like he needs his childhood friend to save him.
Okay.
That was it. That's all I had. Ah,
You say that, my mind immediately goes to like I've got reference points of I tend to speak in pop culture references. So
okay.
what you are saying is that we need that Willow Xander moment where from Buffy the Vampire Slayer where he basically keeps saying, and I still love you. Where he points
Yeah.
out why you are not the evil that you seem to think you are.
Yeah.
I don't deserve this. I don't deserve when have you hit someone? Like outside of a BDSM, I never have. I've always been in control. I can't be in control around you. And yet you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a logical thing. Like getting out of that, it's almost like, I mean, like in real life, the way to get out of that is a couple of years of therapy. But in romance world, we've got to find the like logical quick way to get in there, and that is usually putting him in a tense situation where he doesn't do the thing. Like what if she comes in and she pushes his every button,
Yes. That,
every single one of them? What if she comes in and she's the brat from hell? All he does, all he manages to, and she's like, I just told you I slept with your friend. I just told you I did, like, and never once did you raise your hand to me.
yeah, for their like roughest sex moment, I wasn't sure where they were having it actually when I said it. I was like, it almost could be his childhood home, it could be his current apartment. But I was like, what if it's okay, what if it's his hotel? What if it's his office? Like she goes to him. And so it's still this sort of like manicured space where bruises would be more shocking though, as well.
Yeah.
And like she's gonna, depending on what time it is, like, someone who works there could see that, like it's fully bled into his life. It's not safely contained in the club. But then what I almost want is for her to go into the house, the house of evil, and for him to be forced to follow her there. She's like,
Mhm.
I'm here, I'm breaking shit. He's like, what the hell? I'm not gonna go, but then oh, I have to go. So I'm just gonna go get her out of there. And she's like, this plate dropped it. Like this guy, your dad, I just drew a mustache on his face. Like, yeah, your best friend, I slept with you. Like just every single thing. And he's like, he's losing his mind. But it's not even making him angry as much as it's just breaking him down.
Because the problem, especially I think with men, is they are very, very comfortable with feeling anger.
Right.
But what she needs to make him feel is fear and sorrow, which is the fear especially is what was at the core of what do you see what I'm saying?
Yep. Totally. No, I mean,
Being in the house, having to look at all of this, it could break him down.
and he
It
has kept the house as a monument to fear, really.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have sold it, he would have burned it down, whatever. Like it's
And
there.
see, that might be a kind of fun thing to do if I mean, obviously, can't, like, have it they have to be, like, not real close neighbors then, but it might be fun to burn it down at the end, like,
Maybe they just oh, you know
or
what? You know what they have these days? I don't know if you've ever done this. I haven't. You know the rage rooms?
Hmm.
It's like, for anyone
I
who doesn't know,
do.
you get I don't know, some kind of a bat or something, and you're put in a room with just a bunch of stuff. There's like different options of types of stuff, even maybe. I don't know. It depends on the place. And then you just
Oh,
break it. You just like
oh,
smack.
okay. What if she meets him there with a bat
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
says, "Well," and he's like, I don't do that. I'm not going to break all of this stuff." But wait, you told me that that's what you do. What you do is you break things. So
Right. And
I'm giving you all of this stuff to break. The stuff
right.
that broke you, but oh, big bad Dom can't even break a plate. Big bad.
Because, yes, exactly. Because why? Because then he'd be breaking the monument to fear, which he's been holding so preciously all this time.
If he
And
unlocks that, if he gets past the rage, what's left is that awful sorrow of what could have been. And that's what, in a lot of ways, I think we try to avoid from childhood trauma. The anger feels better than the
well, I
sorrow.
also think, I mean, I think it goes back to him going to what he perceives as going too far with her is actually the same exact reason I have not done a rage room. I'm like, I mean, okay, it's different because I'm not a dom who like likes to hurt little subbies, but like I just say, oh, like I have no desire to do that. But then it's kind of like, well, if you have no desire to do it, you could do it, right? And I wouldn't want to because I don't let my anger out, and I don't know what would that would even look like.
Mhm.
It's like really, it's really pushed way, 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 way down. And in a way, I think his is too, even though he looks all surly and he does the like the whippings and stuff like that, he's not whipping them out of anger. He's not angry.
Yeah, he's not angry at that,
Right.
but
So
it's almost a way, in a weird way, to feed that part of himself
yeah.
that he needs to keep him away from what's under the anger.
But it's also so different. So he knows it's different. He knows that like hitting this picture of his dad is gonna feel
Oh, yeah,
a
absolutely.
zillion times different than even hitting,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And but she's gonna goad him to do it. He's gonna do it. It's gonna, like you said, he's gonna do it and do it and do it until everything's in shambles.
Everything's in shambles.
And because he's really strong. So I mean he's gonna last for a while. Like, and then all that's gonna be left is sorrow and some of that fear and recognizing it for what it is and recognizing that he has kept this as a monument to fear and that it's now destroyed, even if the house is still here, the everything it represented has been destroyed. And so
The metaphor also being that he has to realize that it was not like his distance from her hurt her in a way that the fear that he was going to hit her
right.
was never going to happen. But because of that fear, the distance is what really hurt. And he's got to get rid of that.
Yeah, she can even do that. So I guess if she comes in, if because we sort of said it, but then we were like sort of changed it. We were like, okay, she's starting with the bat, like hit the things with the bat. And so maybe it's like once he finally like drops the bat and he is just like he's let it all out, she goes up to him and
Yeah.
she's hit me. And he's like horrified, right? Like every cell in his body is horrified. And she's like, you would never,
Mhm.
you would never. And I always knew that about you, but you didn't know that about you.
She
But
can even
now,
but I was a part of this because I mean, I was a part of your childhood. Do you want to destroy all of it?
yeah.
It's like, no, I don't. And she's like, then you can take the good parts of your childhood. You can take all those good parts and you can move forward and leave the bad stuff here.
Yeah. I
You
wonder if
it's
she
not
also
an
said,
all or it's not an all or you don't have to erase your entire childhood because there was one traumatic part of it.
yeah, I also think like what if she also admits to him then, you think I don't look back on that with fear and with
Mhm.
guilt? And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like,
I should have
you
saved you.
know, yeah, she's like, I should have gone in there and I should have stood up to him and I should have defended you. And he's like, are you kidding me? You're like years younger than me. You're tiny. He would have just squashed you. And she's like, I should have tried. You were my best friend. And best friends, that's what best friends do. And that's when he can start to see her more as a three-dimensional person,
Yeah.
because he wasn't thinking about what she felt over there. And she didn't want to burden him with that guilt before by telling him. But the fact is she felt it.
Yeah.
And he finally realizes how much he had limited how he saw her because, he wanted her to be this pristine thing. But now she's a person and a person who she loves. Okay, does he grovel? Are we doing that?
I don't think he needs to grovel in this case. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that he's just had this overwhelming emotional experience.
Yeah.
I don't think that she would need him to grovel.
So do they even get together in this moment? It seems like
I think, well, okay, and this might not be, I think the super sweet thing to do would be she leads him over to the house that she grew up in. They sit down for dinner. He's quiet almost the whole time. And then she looks at her parents and says, I'm gonna take him upstairs now. He has had a day. We're gonna go to sleep. And
yes, I don't know if you were
that's
gonna
where they get together. He's like, we just destroyed one house. This is where we start again, where we started the
love
burn.
that I mean, the symbolism, obviously beautiful. I literally have chills. Like she leads him over by the hand. And I also love it because of like when I was like, it's the childhood best friend who he needs to save him.
Mhm.
And so it's actually platonic. Like I would love for them to cuddle platonically that
Yeah,
night because you can do that with someone you love and want to have sex with. But they've also maybe they've never done it since they reached
yeah.
full maturity because right, because he actually wanted her but didn't want to, all that kind of stuff, right? So maybe they do that. And
And
when she
that
wakes
proves to him that he can be this soft, that like
up,
he can be soft.
right, right. And almost like it pains him at first, the first moment of it. You know what I mean? And then realizes, no, 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 it actually feels better than anything. And I can lie here and take it. And, but I always think though, even though, like you said, it's going to take years of therapy, I think he's still going to need years of therapy, right? Like this is
Of
just
course.
the idea that I might be able to live with this.
Exactly. This is the spark that makes him think, okay, I can work on this.
Yes. And then I think I want her to wake up and he's gone. And she thinks to herself, you know what? I might have lost the lover, but that would be worth it if I got back my friend and if I helped my friend in any way.
Yes.
And then he does a grand gesture. So it's not a grovel, it's just like a grand
I
gesture.
do love a grand gesture.
Yeah. Which I don't know. He probably just invites her back to the club because we started at the club.
And he no, like, and he's got like the club is all for her. Everything she would want.
Okay.
He could even say, "This is the last time I will do this as your dom," and then we'll, blah blah blah. And then of course at the end he's like, "But I'll do it as your husband for the rest of my life."
Oh, I love
I
it.
w Okay, I'm glad that you I love really I love really sentimental, I love things that make me cry. I know that there are some of my friends who'd be like, "Oh, do you have to make it so sickly sweet?" Yes.
No, absolutely. We have earned it. Thank you. So that's perfect. So then one more thing is epilogue. Are you I think you're an epilogue.
I love an
Yeah.
epilogue. I
Yeah.
love a prologue, I love an epilogue. I want to know the before, I want the after, I want the happiness.
Okay.
I don't like it when a book ends just, "Okay, and now we're in love," and I think we have, like you said, we have earned this joy that comes from the epilogue.
Okay. So what's the epilogue?
Oh, I think the epilogue is we're years later, they've been married and happy for years, and their son wants to introduce them to his new best friend who's named like Tony or something, and he shows up with a little girl, and they're like, "Oh, well, we know where this is going."
It's like the next door neighbor.
Yeah. Like, I just met her. Like, I just met that I think this is my new best friend, Tony. And
Yes.
they're expecting a little boy to come running up, and it's the
Yeah.
cutest little girl, and they're like, "Okay, all things come full circle."
Right. Exactly. And I love that. And then the very, very last thing would be a title.
Oh, we need a title.
Yeah. I mean, the series name is always just it's gonna be Velvet Chains. It's gonna be about the whole club. Everyone is gonna, you know what I mean? Probably the people he originally collared are gonna have like some sort of like relationship and trouble story on book 3.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. We've gotta
So
give girlfriend, happily ever after because she deserves it.
Oh, right, exactly. She is gonna
Oh,
be a mentor to a couple of
sure.
other subs, and then she's gonna get her own. But titles, what are we doing here? There's something about flowers. There's something about childhood. What about like? Oh no, is it too dark? Ring around the rosy. Like
Hmm?
that's just how I think of title. Look, Nina always gets on my case. She's like, your titles are never romancy enough.
See,
That's
my
fair.
Nina's on my case because my covers, I never change my covers. That's my thing with Nina. You have to change your covers. I'm like, I have 104 books. I can't like the investment in that is insane.
That is a lot. That is a big number. How do you title them though? You
I usually pick like a word, like siren or bliss, and then make plays on that. Like Masters and Mercenaries, all those titles are plays on either James Bond films or thrillers, like in like spy movies, every one of them. But with this, you want something that says friendship, childhood.
I feel like even we said Austin, which is not really a small town, but I feel like we almost did like a slightly smaller town
Yeah.
vibe. What do you call? See, I don't do friends to lovers romances, so I don't even know what they're called. Like unbreakable bonds?
Ooh, I like that. Or chains, or
Yeah.
wanted to tie it into velvet chains.
Yes. Unbreakable. Unbreakable chains.
I like it.
And then you can just do like adjective, noun.
And yeah, yeah. And then you could do like beloved chain
Mm,
or
yes. Like a secret one.
reluctant chain.
Ooh,
Like you could do a lot with if you chains.
okay.
I like it.
So we did it. Okay. Now the question is, if a listener enjoyed Unbreakable Chains, what book of yours should they begin with?
Oh, if they want to read a friends to lovers story and they want it to have some BDSM in it, I wrote a book called Live, Love, Spy. And it
What is
is
it?
Live, Love, Spy.
Oh, Live, Love, Spy. Okay.
Mhm. So it is about literally they become like friends in high school, and naturally is wont to do in my world, she becomes a spy. He goes into the army, and so we kind of go from there. They
Is
end
that
up on a mission together.
is there a BDSM club involved in that?
There is.
Okay.
Of course, because in my world, all problems are solved. All of the world's problems are solved in BDSM Club. And all BDSM Club owners know each other and they're all intelligence agents. Yes. But I've gotten some reviews. They're like, the insta love just doesn't make logical sense here. I didn't believe it. I'm like, but you did believe that there are 50 BDSM clubs and that they solve all the world's problems. Okay.
Yeah, that was the
Like
stretch. No. Okay.
you do. Like, look, my books are fantasy. There's a lot you have to like. We're just gonna believe that everybody's got a BDSM club, and that the CIA is like, yeah, sure, you're gonna go into that BDSM club and find the bomb
Go
maker.
undercover. Why
Mhm.
would you not? I mean,
That's right.
that seems like the ideal way to do it. Okay, so we're gonna drop a link to Live Love Spy so that you can start there for a friends to lovers romance, and then obviously get hooked on all of Lexi Blake's BDSM club romances. So thank you so much, Lexi, for doing this with me. I had a great time. I love seeing how your mind works.
Thank you so much for listening to Storytime with Skye. I hope you enjoyed the story we crafted this week. Please subscribe so you don't miss a new episode, and leave a review so that other listeners can find our show. We always put links for any books we discuss, as well as books by the guest author, in the show notes, so you can definitely find something new to read. And if you want to help choose our romance adventure, be sure to join our Facebook group, Storytime with Skye. That's where we gather suggestions and poll our readers, just like you, to find out what our next story will be. Thank you for being part of the story.
Welcome to the story. It's story time with Skye. You can fall in love and laugh until you cry. It's story time with Skye.